And hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of the Manufactured Home Show. This is the program where you'll have an opportunity to listen to the absolute best of the best in our industry, including manufacturers, lenders, retailers, suppliers, associations, communities, and today's very special guest, my friend, Mr. Rick Robinson. Now, as always, if you have any questions on the program, or if you might have a recommendation for a future guest, please drop me an email to ken@callkencorbin.com. And if you'd like to see more of the series and see all the various programs that we've done, you can simply go to learnmh.com. And on the top of the page, there's a little tab that says training. Bring the drop box down and you'll see Manufactured Home Show. Of course, you can go to my website, callkencorbin.com, and again, you'll see the Manufactured Home Show. We're also going to be putting these on YouTube. In fact, we've developed a brand new YouTube channel called Manufactured Home Show. And of course, you can go to my business Facebook page, Ken Corbin Speaker, where all the episodes are listed. And with that, let me tell you a little bit about my dear friend, Rick Robinson, who is the Executive Vice President for Industry Relations at manufacturedhomes.com, which is a California-based technology company providing website and social media solutions exclusively to the manufactured housing industry. Rick previously spent 6 years at the Manufactured Housing Institute as General Counsel and Senior Vice President for State Relations, where he worked on issues unique to state associations. Rick remains the nation's leading expert on how the Fair Housing Act impacts manufactured housing communities. And when Rick is not preaching the virtues of manufactured housing, he writes award-winning novels, plays electric mandolin and an Irish punk rock band, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about.
We're going to talk about that one.
And he also pesters trout with handmade flies. Rick, welcome to the program, my friend. It's always great to see you.
Ken, you know, it's weird. We always see each other so often on the road. In my time at MHI, and I was on the road going out to all the association meetings. In my new job with manufacturedhomes.com, that was supposed to be the same thing. Along comes this COVID thing, and suddenly we aren't seeing each other at all. I've told people that if, in fact, Ken would be at a show and I say, by the way, if I get sick tonight or something, you've seen my act so many times, can you just do it for me tomorrow morning? I mean, we have been at so many shows together, I don't know that we could even count them all up.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I was telling a friend of mine earlier this morning, I said, I'm going to have a chance to talk to my friend, Rick Robinson. And he said, you've talked about him before. I said, yes, this is the guy that we cross-pollinate each other at the various shows that we see. And our standing joke is if one can't make it or is delayed or it gets under the weather, the other person can fill in. So I am so glad to, but I've got to ask this question. A commercial bank attorney that worked in lending. How in blazes did you get involved with the manufactured housing industry? That's got to be a unique story.
Well, it is a unique story. And if you think back to, we're currently in the middle of an economic crisis and everybody's trying to figure out what is going on. Think back to the last one in about 2012, 2011, 2012, okay? And I was doing commercial loan work. I was, recognized as one of the best. They have those best of, attorneys. I was one of the 3 best of commercial lending lawyers in the greater Cincinnati area. And along comes the crash. Now, you may remember the crash because it affected so badly residential housing, because you were at the time working on the residential side and working with manufactured homes even then. And if you think there was a crash in the residential market, the commercial market just stopped. I literally have told people I went from at one point closing 25 to 30 commercial loans a month to closing 5 a year. Because all of these loans, when they were coming due, they were putting them into special assets. They were putting them in, trying to give them into other banks. They were trying to do different things. And I also saw that what was happening in the commercial marketplace was going to be changing, and especially changing for the person who would be the transactional lawyer. And I also did a lot of buy and sell agreements for different companies in that time frame. And I just saw that there was going to be a radical change in the way businesses used attorneys for transactions as they went forward. And I looked at my wife one day and I said, I think maybe it's time to start moving on, and I look at someplace else to go. And I actually had an interview for a job that was going to take place going to be in Chicago, commuting back and forth from northern Kentucky, where we live, to Chicago. And I called a friend of mine and I said, Nathan Smith, who at that point was chairman of the Manufactured Housing Institute.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, they want a referral. Will you be one of my referrals? And he said, absolutely not. I said, what do you mean? I mean, you can hear Nathan, no, can't do that.
Yeah.
And he said, and I'm like, what are you doing to me, man? And he said, well, we need a general counsel at MHI. If you interview with us and you don't want to come with us, that's fine, but I want you to interview with us first. And 2 weeks later, I was living in Washington, and I was the general counsel for the Manufactured Housing Institute.
Oh my gosh. And your association with the states has been obviously remarkable. And maybe you could expand a little bit and talk about member relationships and how you've been able to cultivate and work with various state, regional, and national associations across the country.
Absolutely. When I got to MHI, Ken, and again, it was right at the end of that downturn, right after we saw the big drop in all of our numbers in the industry. And because of that, floor dues had gone down. MHI had gone through their austerity program. So when I got to MHI, there was this long list, and that's not the size of the fish I caught today. There was this long list of things that weren't getting done. And things out there, Dick Jennison looked at me and said, pick any 5. And I went, well, it seems to me you should be getting, out with the states and doing more with the state associations. I'm willing to fill that role as one of my jobs at MHI. And he said, good, go. Here's a budget number, travel, go out, because at the time, again, we were coming out of the last downturn. They had just loosened up the austerity measures at MHI. And so I started just picking up the phone and going, hey, when's your meeting? You want a free speaker? So I told everybody, I said, what was your job? And I said, my job was wherever Destiny called for a free speaker. That was my job. And I went out and started going into the states, and first just started talking about what was going on in Washington, D.C. And then our friend George Allen got a hold of me one day, and he said, nobody's really looking into the Fair Housing Act and how it applies to manufactured homes. Okay. Went out, dug deep into the topic, came up with some presentations. You've seen a couple of them. We're going to be doing one on the webinar series that we do at manufacturedhomes.com. Going to be doing one of those in August, I believe. But really dug in deep into that. So when I would go on the road, I kind of had, 2 presentations I could give to the states, and especially for those states that are big in manufactured home communities. The Fair Housing Act was just a godsend for them, because what I would do is I wouldn't give them, they would get these people to come and talk about fair housing, and it would be all the legalese. And I would just come in and go, no. Let me give you the do's. Let me give you the don'ts. Let me make this easy for you. Procedures, everything like that. And gosh, the last year I was at MHI, in fact, the last year at MHI, I think I spent 30 to 35 weeks on the road. Wow. And on top of that, over my lifetime, I visited everybody in the continental United States, I think, but one. And I'm still mad at JD Harper, but we're going fishing in about 2 weeks, so I'm going to let him up. But JD, there was like one or two or three states that I didn't hit, but we hit just about all of them, either via direct or via something that we would do online with their membership.
Well, but now that you've moved from that platform at MHI over to manufacturedhomes.com. And you're truly now, I guess you would call it on the other side.
Oh yeah, I get to
What's
go to the
different?
meeting.
What's different? What's different?
I get to be the well. First off, I get to be the guy that sits in the back of the room and go. I have a question for staff. I have a question for staff. But really, in a large part, Ken, my job hasn't changed. When I went there, Brad Nelm sat down and said, "We want to start offering free stuff to the state associations. What do they need?" And he had these big high, they need this, and I said, really, I've been around them for 6, 7 years now. What they need is content.
Yeah.
They need somebody producing videos. They need somebody, and he's like, well, so we started an email to them every week, all the state associations, even the states that have more than one state association. They all get an email that has a free video on it, a home of the week on it from somebody that they can take a 3D tour of, all of which they can post on their own social media and give to their members to post on their own social media. So, and what we did with this, what was really kind of cool, Ken, was we did one or two of them, and then we said, maybe we're doing about this wrong. And so I got all the state EDs on a conference call and said, okay, give me some topics. You've now seen what we can do. Give us some topics and help us write the scripts. So every month or two, all the state executive directors get on a phone call and we sit down and say, okay, we got everything covered right now through August 18th. We need to start producing some new videos. What do you guys want to see? You just talked about Amy Bliss. Amy Bliss has come up from Wisconsin. She has come up with some absolutely incredible ideas for videos. Whenever we do community stuff, I always try and get Sheila Day involved out in California because, she has the community stuff. I'll also reach out to Maria Horton out of Newport Pacific and go, help me with the script a little bit. But we've been turning out to them a new video every week that, again, they can not only use on their website and their social media, but they can give to their members to do the same thing.
Well, you've done a remarkable job in this. I must tell you, and I was speaking with Sheila Day just 2 weeks ago, and I'll be working, fortunately, with them in September. But I think about, the Go RVing platform that started 15, 20 years ago when the RV industry was going through just the doldrums. And they worked together nationwide and began promoting that segment. And what you've been able to do, Rick, with manufacturedhomes.com is now work with all these executive directors and come with a pretty now nice standardized format, even in the beginning, to help them promote our industries, to promote the American dream of home ownership. And by your continuing communication with them and getting their input, like you mentioned, Amy and the various association executive directors, I think it's remarkable, absolutely
Thank
remarkable. And I can see this growing just exponentially. And I'm sure you
one
do
of the
as
things
well.
we're doing, Ken, you're exactly right on the Go RVing side, is that we don't consider ourselves a website company or a production company. We're a branding company.
Mm-hmm.
We are out there offering a brand to the manufactured home industry. And I would ask your viewers of this, take a look at the Rocky Mountain Home Association with Tawny Payton.
Sure.
Take a look at the Nevada Housing Alliance with Mike Smith and Leo Pagioni. We have started out a new look for state associations to develop a website that is consumer facing so that a consumer can walk right in, take a look at a home, do a 3D tour of a home, click a button, find the retailer closest to them, boom, ask for a quote. We can be part of that virtual experience of the brand that is being set for manufactured housing today. And I think we are going to be at a place somewhere where we have a vast majority of the state associations who start looking at these websites and their members understanding that if we're ever going to get beyond the 9-10% where we are, we need new audience to look at. And it's this idea of branding through via the virtual marketplace. You know, people that are looking at these websites are not the people that would normally be looking for the manufactured home or looking for whatever. We're going outside that realm as well. We're expanding the base of what people are looking for. And again, I would ask everybody watching this, go look at Colorado, go look at Nevada. We think that is how the future, especially for some of the state associations, we're talking with several right now who are looking at changing their websites to that same design.
I absolutely agree. As an industry, we may not necessarily have the financial resources that in the automotive end at a Ford or a General Motors or the various Japanese brands do. But with what you've done in working with the associations and understanding that our buyer does search the internet extensively before making a housing decision, I think you're absolutely on track. I think it's exciting, but I've got to ask this question. Tell me how you play an electric mandolin in an Irish punk rock band, and what's the name of the band?
The name of the band is Phil's Five and Dime. Unfortunately, we live in different parts of the country right now. Although I have been blessed to actually be able to play a couple tunes with a band called the Fighting Jamesons. Nobody will know my band. Mine is simply garage band, but a lot of folks may know the Fighting Jamesons, and they've been humble enough to let a very poor musician get on stage with them and play a couple songs a couple of times. But it's if you think of if you like Irish tunes, just think about punking them up a little bit. When you get to the Molly Malones, when you get to the different type of songs that are out there in traditional Irish folk, all we do is punk them up, and it's an electric Mando, because the only thing they really need out of me is volume. I'm like the guys in the movie. I've got an 11, turn it up to an 11. Turn it all the way up to 11, and there we go. So but it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun to just one of those things where you just kind of get to go. You mentioned the books. I've told everybody this.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
I told the guys in the Jamesons what they don't realize. They're like, "Man, you've written all these books," and I said, "Guys, what you don't understand is that every author really, really, really would rather be in a rock band."
Oh, shit.
Everybody in a rock band would really, really rather be an author. So we've become a perfect fit for that.
So you've actually had an opportunity to kind of be in both the best of both worlds by being an author. And if you don't mind letting let's talk about some of your books. Tell me about some of the, I know you and I've talked about them specifically, but let our viewers know about the books.
Sure. I write in basically two genres. I have 11 books that are out there. Most of them are novels. I have one or two that are throw-offs that are kind of a little different in the realm. But I basically write in in two different genres. I write political thrillers. And the political thriller is a guy named Richard Thompson, who is a member of the United States Congress, who always seems to find himself in trouble. Latest book is Opposition Research, with everything that we see and going on in campaigns today. What if you, as running a campaign, what if you found out something that was really, really, really bad about somebody, but it wouldn't affect the outcome, except it's really, really, really bad? What do you do with it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the genre of the political thriller. Every time there's twists and turns, as though you might be. And then the second one, Ken, is kind of like for you and I. I write a second series of novels that I call coming of age novels for guys with gray hair that never came of age.
Sure.
Uh,
I never grew up. Yeah.
and yeah, we've never grown up. We've never figured out how to do that. And so in today's world, how the people that are, those of us that are out there that are still waiting to grow up, maybe there's still a chance for us. By the way, if anybody wants to find any of my books, they can go to Amazon. Just put in Rick Robinson, you go straight to my author page.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, one more question, because you and I both, and before we started this show, you and I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about fishing. And you do your own
Cumberland River right behind me.
You make your own handmade flies.
Oh, I love to make flies. I love making flies. It's just, again, one of those Zen things where you can just get it. They have a bad day, everything goes wrong. Just go up and start tying a fly and just kind of all the troubles of the world go away. I'm doing the interview here today. Actually, behind me is the beautiful Cumberland River. I'm 10 miles down from the dam, which means the water is 64 degrees.
Wow.
You go out in it and you have these just beautiful, beautiful rainbow and brookie and brownie. They've just introduced cutthroat and a couple other hybrid breeds in here, and it is just stocked full of big, big fish. In fact, we normally catch and release, but today we kept a few, and we're having fish tacos tonight for dinner. So
That's fantastic.
you know,
Well, okay. How do people, many of our viewers, be it retailers, other associations, but more specifically retailers, communities, suppliers, vendors, lenders, and so forth, how the heck do they get a hold of Rick Robinson today?
Well, first off, the easiest way to get a hold of Rick Robinson is to go to manufacturedhomes.com, which is where all of our products are. Ken, I mean, it's interesting, Ken. I mean, I came to this job. I don't know that I could spell SEO. And now I know all these things about computers and how people end up on the front page of Google searches and all these other things. But the easiest way to get me is to go to there, or you can just simply go to my email, which is rick@manufacturedhomes.com.
Okay. Rick, as always, my dear friend, it's you and I have spent many hours chatting, and in this program and the time that we've spent, I'm sure it'll not only be entertaining, but more importantly, educational and helping our viewers learn a little bit more, not only about you, but what manufacturedhomes.com can offer, the various videos, the training, and so forth. And I
And the
cannot.
idea and the whole idea of the whole idea, I think, and we have to come to the realization. You talk about it in your sessions, that the virtual show place, the virtual showroom is going to be just as important. Won't replace. I don't think it ever replaced the in-person floor, but I think hand in hand is where the future is going to be, with having the right virtual presence along with Corbin. That's where I think that's where you and I both see the future going.
We do. With that, my friend, I want to thank you, Captain. It's always been a pleasure.
Good.
And
There's a fish down there calling my name. I gotta go now. There's a fish down there calling my name.
Rick, thank you so much. And thank you again, folks, for coming by the manufacturedhomes.com. Rick, we'll see you soon.
Well, we'll be glad when we're back on the road. Hopefully we'll be back at another conference sometime soon.
You got it, pal. Bye-bye.
All right, man. See you.